Hello again, friends. Today I want to talk about, this is just a brief Tuesday podcast, but I want to talk about a couple things that are concerns. They were concerns of mine, and if you share these fears, I just want to discuss them today. One is, what happens if there's a higher power that judges me negatively for exploring things outside of my birth religion or my religion I grew up with? And the other concept is, what if, exploring these alternate spiritualities conflict with whatever those beliefs were, my birth religion that I grew up with? So stand by, we'll talk about that. Hello again, friends and fellow truth seekers. Mike Nicholas here with another episode of the Soul Unleashed podcast, where it's my goal to help you with questions you might have regarding the awakening of your soul, and particularly to help other left brain types, like I think I am, to ask the right questions in our search for a deeper meaning to life. Ultimately, I want to help you unleash your soul from limiting beliefs and smothering paradigms. So let's get back to today's question. There's really two of them, but they're related. What if everything that I'm starting to explore in terms of my spiritual awakening or my soul waking up, my soul being unleashed, what if that stuff conflicts with what my existing religious beliefs are? I can tell you that has certainly happened with me in a lot of different ways. I've mentioned before that I'm Catholic, and so there are things that I've started to believe, particularly reincarnation, soul journeys, past life regressions. These are all things that I thought were goofy years ago, but which I now believe are the way things work. And I think that definitely conflicts with the kind of things I grew up with. It doesn't conflict in the sense that I still believe in God. I still believe in Jesus Christ. I still believe, in the Trinity. I still believe in what I would call the core values of my faith. But I'm more open now to maybe everything in the Bible shouldn't be taken literally, for example. And the second question is, and this was really something that bothered me, was what if, okay, so I'm going through this change, I'm going through this life change, I'm thinking things that I never would have thought before. This whole experience with my son and going to mediums and realizing there's another dimension on the other side of the veil, all that is real now. I definitely believe it's all real. But what if there's a higher power that judges me negatively for exploring these things that are outside of what I grew up with? And I think this is a huge fear for people, particularly those that are raised very conservative on this, say the Christian side. For some reason, Catholics seem a little more open to this kind of stuff. I don't know why. It's probably part of the criticism. When I was growing up, when I first went to West Point, my roommate was a very staunch conservative Christian. God bless him. I love him to death, still do. But he always thought that Catholics were kind of like the lower on the rung in terms of Christianity. I think that the stuff that we believed as Catholics was a little more flexible and a little bit too wishy-washy for conservative Christians. So that was a long time ago, but I think there's still a big feeling out there. And honestly, as I've talked to people and interviewed people and gone through this soul awakening thing, spiritual awakening, Catholics, for some reason, seem more open to believing in things like reincarnation and soul progression and soul groups, and that we come here and that this earth is a laboratory for learning, and we can come back and multiple times. Catholics, for some reason, seem more open to that. Other Christian faiths, more conservative, especially the charismatic type Christian types, not so much. The stuff I'm talking about is wrong in a lot of their viewpoints. And that gets back to this thought: what if that there's a higher power, God, that looks down and judges me negatively for considering these things? And I think that would be a huge fear for some people that are raised in this paradigm, which is what I'm trying to help people break out of. But you're raised in a very strict paradigm that this is the way things work. This is the way God works. This is how he judges. We're here to be tested on earth. Satan is one side of the coin and God's on the other. And Satan's constantly kind of trying to distract you and lead you astray. And you're going to be judged upon how you act here on this earth. And then when you die, boom, you're going to be judged and go to heaven or go to hell. And, you might think that what's going to happen to you if you explore outside of what those beliefs are, if there is a God or a higher power that's looking down, and now I'm starting to think about stuff like reincarnation, or maybe there is no hell, or maybe I don't really get judged like that when I die. Maybe there is no, boom, you're going to hell when you die. Maybe there is a place you go to learn and to rest and refresh as a soul, and then you come back again. But holy cow, if there's a God that's judging me because I've changed my thoughts about that, then that would be pretty scary. And I understand that. And I've thought about that. I did some podcasts earlier where I was driving along a road, I think it was in South Carolina, I-95. Anyway, and there's these signs that say, you will meet God, you will be judged. You're one breath away from judgment. And it's pretty scary stuff to be cruising along and looking at these huge billboards. I think they were yellow billboards with red lettering. It really got your attention as you're driving a car. But I kept thinking that what if there is a God and he's looking down? He, she, I don't know. I guess even under the old way of looking at things, that it's a he. He's looking down and judging me negatively because, doggone it, Mike, you're gone outside of what you know and what you've been taught as a Catholic. And, you're going to get yours when you get up here to the pearly gates. So that does concern me. Well, I should say that it doesn't concern me anymore like it did when I first started thinking these kind of things. And now I believe that my actions are determined by the amount of love I either add to or take away from this world. And so if I'm doing something or contemplating doing something that adds to love, then I think it's a good thing. If I'm doing something or thinking of doing something that would take away from the love that's in this world or that I provide, then it's a bad thing. And even when I think about the 10 Commandments, those are kind of the bedrock things. Whether or not Moses actually came down from Mount Sinai with tablets in his arms, I don't know. But the basic things, you won't kill, do not lie, do not steal. Those are obviously things that take love away from this world, this experience. And so I think those are bad things. And that's kind of how I make my decisions on what actions I'm about to do or what I'm thinking about. I did also, in this little short podcast, want to provide just a quick update on my wife. She's still in the hospital. It's been about 13 months now. She's struggling a little bit right now, but as always, I'm trying to remain positive and remain hopeful about the way things are going. I still manifest every day what my day is going to look like. I've talked about this in previous podcasts, but every morning I say the same thing. No matter where I'm going, no matter what I'm doing, my dominant intention today is to see what I want to see, and that has worked out well in terms of how my days have been going, but I do struggle with how she is doing and what I can do for her. So thank you for your time for this podcast on this Tuesday podcast, and just give some thought to those two questions. Those two fears, I guess, is what they are. That what happens if what I'm learning to think, the cool things that I'm starting to experience in terms of my spiritual awakening and my soul being unleashed, what happens if they conflict with what I grew up with and how I learned? And then the other fear, which I think is unfounded, but what if there's a God somewhere that's looking down and sees me coloring outside the lines and will punish me, judge me negatively, but punish me for thinking these thoughts or exploring these spiritual options? And that, like I said, I think that's a huge fear for a lot of people that keeps them from having their own spiritual awakening or exploring, at least questioning things that in their mind, they know there's more. They know there's more questions to ask. Again, I really appreciate you joining me today. If you wouldn't mind doing me a favor and hitting the subscribe button, that would be great. That way you'll know when I release a new podcast. I am going to have another podcast this Thursday. a wonderful lady named Jenny Schluter. Jenny's going to be my guest in an interview on Thursday. Even more importantly, if you can leave a review, that'd be awesome. Most phones, you just need to scroll down below the episodes. That's where you'll see the review option. But both things help other people find me, and that's what I'm looking for, is more people like you that find this podcast. Thanks again, and I will talk to you Thursday. Bye-bye.